the bank.
Hey Brett, how's it going this week?
Good, Ange. How are you?
Good. So on the last episode, I left a cliffhanger, seeing if you could file or keep track of your taxes online with the IRS. And they actually have online forms now that you can fill out and just send right over, so you have a digital copy.
So you don't even have to download or print anything out. It's all totally online now?
Yeah, you can just do it all on your computer.
Look at our government finally getting into the 21st century. Good job,
Right? It's
America.
amazing. So while we were just ragging on the government there, you probably thought I forgot about a trivia question.
Yeah, we're already deep in the episodes. I don't know.
No, I don't
it's too
think
far
so.
down.
Well, before we go any further, Happy New Year to everyone listening.
Oh, yeah, because it's right on New Year's Day, right?
Right around then. It might be New Year's Eve that we release it, right before the ball drops. Woo! But, yeah, we're very excited to be... This will be our third calendar year already.
Yeah, so welcome to 2019.
Yeah, very exciting. Very fun year. So, in 2018, now this data... Hold on, guys. This data is going to be a little delayed because, spoiler, we record these episodes ahead of schedule sometimes. But, Brett, as of today, when we are recording this episode, how much has the stock market dropped this year?
This last week alone, it dropped 400 points.
I'm looking for a percentage here.
Percentage dropped since January 1.
Yes.
Is this a trick question? Isn't it still up higher?
No, it's
No?
not a trick question.
Oh my god. Okay, so it's dropped 13%.
Yeah. Did you see
Yes?
my paper?
No, I totally guessed.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's right about 13%. So I wanted to bring that up before we dive into this week's podcast, because I just want to remind people, we've talked about it a lot. You can go listen to our investing series. We have a 101, 201, and 301 out there. Don't pull your money out because the market goes down.
Right? No, that's the opposite of what you want to do, right? The market's down, so if you put money in and the market goes back up, now your money's worth more.
Right.
Right?
It's on sale.
Leave it in, yeah.
10% off from the beginning of the year.
Big bargain sale.
When there's sales on anything else, right? If Super Smash Brothers was on a 10% discount, people would go crazy and buy it.
Right. Number one selling thing right now. So.
But instead, it's the opposite with stocks. People are like, oh, it's too cheap. I don't want it anymore. I'm going to offload it. It'd be like if I bought Smash last week at full price and then it was 10% off this week and I was like, oh, I better just sell my copy.
Because it's worth less overall. Right?
Why would I do that?
The copy that I'm holding is now worth less, so I need to get rid of it before it's worth even less.
Right. I would never do that. I would keep what I want to own.
Right.
And just not care what the current price is. That's what we do with literally every other possession we own. We buy it and then we're like, this continues to bring me happiness. So buy your stocks, let them bring you happiness in the form of dividends. You get paid out 4 times a year. Every quarter you get some dividends. So look forward to that and don't worry about whatever else it's doing, right? Because it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, all right, just wanted to cover that. Now we'll dive into the meat of the episode, which I'm really excited about because I feel like we've done a lot of interesting topics lately, but at the heart of it all, my favorite thing is talking about saving money, right? How to save more money, how to get more in my Vanguard account. That's what really brings me joy. So I have 10 ways to save at least $50,
Okay.
which is imagine
So
if
that's
you could,
$500.
yeah, imagine if you could even apply half of these and you can just save $250 a month.
And this is all savings,
sweet.
not making up new money through income.
No, this is
Okay.
just cutting your crazy expenses and saving some money. So let's go. Number 1, a very good one. We've talked about this, I'm sure, before. Pack your lunch.
Yep, we have definitely talked about this before. Yeah, there are people in different offices that I work in that eat lunch every day in a downtown setting where everything is spiked in price. Yeah, I mean, or even if you're in a rural setting and you have to drive out to lunch to get it every day, which is where I'm at now.
Oh my gosh, you're just giving me anxiety.
Yeah, these guys, they go, because I bring bananas from the hotel every day for lunch, and then I, eat potatoes every day for dinner. They're all free. It's the way I live now. Yeah, they I don't know, spend a bunch of money going out to eat lunch for lunch every day.
So I just did a quick thing saying if you spent $8 a day on lunch, which I think is pretty reasonable, even if you go to Subway, I'm pretty sure $5 footlongs are basically a thing of the past at this point, or if they are hanging on,
Yeah, they're getting rid of them.
it's pretty
anyway.
minimal, and then you might add a pop and chips on anyways and get to $8. So I think $8 is a pretty normal price. So if you did that versus like packing your lunch, I have this that you could save easily $100 a month.
Right.
Easy.
Yeah, for 30. Well, so you're not going out 30 days, right? It's
20.
5 days a week, so 20 days.
Yep.
But yeah, just a couple bucks a day just really adds up.
Yeah, so that'd be like $160 to go out to eat for the month versus like packing your lunch. I said maybe it'd be like $60, you know? $3. I said $3 a day, which that can get you a pretty good packed lunch. That's not just PB&J here, you know? You can like throw in some strawberries and stuff, get a little crazy.
And almost everybody, if you're making dinner at home, or even if you're getting dinner somewhere else at home, you probably end up with some kind of leftovers.
For sure.
Right? Like, it's very difficult to not have leftovers. The people that throw them in the garbage, I don't even understand those people. But like, put it in a container, take it to lunch the next day, and just have that. Or if you don't have that many leftovers, make like a little bit more, because it's not going to cost you like anything to do that. Like if you're making like a rice dish or something, like just add a little bit more in there. Add like another like chicken breast or something, and boom, there you go.
Yeah, or like if you don't want to do that, you can literally just go buy like a loaf of bread and a pack of meat and a pack of cheese, and you can have like lunch all week.
Right. Yeah. People have been doing it for ages, right? Coming up with like cheap ways to like feed their families.
Yeah.
So just send that in a bag or a cooler or a little lunchbox to work, and I feel like it's more of like a cultural or a social thing. Where like people all want to go out because like everybody else goes out for work, and you don't want to be the one that's like left out. But you could look back on it and be like, is it that worth it to me that I just spent like over $1,000 this year on like being included?
Yeah, and I think like what I've generally found, and I just got a new job recently, so I have like 3 office environments that I can think of, but I pretty much have brought my lunch 100% of the time that I've worked. No matter where I've worked, I've always brought my lunch around people who did not bring their lunch. But like most people, if you're like, oh hey, yeah, like I'm new here and I want to eat lunch with everybody, but I usually pack mine, like do you guys come back and eat here at the office? Most people will be like, oh yeah, I'll just go pick up my food and bring it back, and like you can be included, we'll come back and eat with you. It's totally cool, because we don't want to go by ourselves and like sit there and eat there alone. Like that's not fun either. So like, yeah, I mean, you can still be included. It's not that big of a deal.
Or in offices that have like cafeterias and stuff like that, like bigger offices, you can just bring it down to lunchroom and just eat with people.
I've done that before too.
When everybody eats at their desk, it becomes a lot harder because people want to get away and like break out. But again, it really adds up over time.
Right. All right. We wasted a ton of time on that one, so we're gonna have to do a little speed round on some of these. But number 2, pay off your credit card. So let's say you put $5,000 on your credit card, $5,000, maybe that got you a nice trip or Christmas gifts or something, and you just like are leaving it there because you're like, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. It is costing you, if you have interest at 20%, which is not unheard of for a credit card by any means.
40, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's costing you $76 a month just to have that.
Right.
So focus on paying that off, and that just like frees up that money.
Carry the zero balance on the credit card at the end of every payment, right? Like
For sure.
That's like
absolutely
high priority on the Zeigerbacher savings list.
Yes.
Right?
And if you're not there, like, save some money by packing your lunch so you can put a little bit more towards your credit card and get that bad boy paid off. All right, number 3, do a movie night in instead of doing a movie night out. So make your own popcorn. Brett and I have actually gotten really into this in like the past year, where we just get kernels and we throw some oil in a pan on the stove with a lid on it, and then we like toss the kernels in, and before you know it, you have popcorn. Like we like even bypass the microwave stuff, right? We just like get the cheap kernels and like pop it ourselves.
Right. It turns out good most of the time. Sometimes we've gotten some bad kernels, but like it's been like wildly successful more often than not.
Yeah, it's
and
super cheap.
Fast. I think it's faster than the actual microwave
Probably.
model. Like because that takes 3 minutes on popcorn setting or something, or 6 minutes. I don't know what it is. But it takes like 2 minutes flat, I think, from like when the first kernel pops to like when they're all popped, or even heating up the oil in the pan. Put pan on stove, put oil in it, put kernel in it, wait until the first one pops, then pour them all in. Good to go. Make the popcorn.
So it's
Sprinkle
delicious.
on delicious seasonings and stuff that you can get.
Yeah, the yum yum powder. So you can make some popcorn at home. You could, let's say you don't own a lot of movies. We certainly don't own a lot of movies. Well, you could go to the library and check out a movie, but that's further down the list. So you could also just go to like Google Play or Netflix or like any of those services, and you could either like, if you have Netflix, you can watch a movie for free, you know, if you're already paying for that. Or if you go to Google Play, you can get basically any movie that's even come out in the last like couple weeks and pay, what is it, like $4.99 to rent that movie for the night?
Yeah, something like that, a couple bucks.
But literally for however many people. So you could invite like another couple over. Maybe you're a family of 4, and instead of having to go get 4 movie tickets at $10 a piece, and that's pretty generous because some places are like $15 now or whatever craziness. And so that's $40 just on tickets. And I know that when you're going to the movie theaters, most people, because Brett and I go to the movies occasionally and we like never buy popcorn or pop, we just like sit there and like are dehydrated. But like
or,
almost,
you know, don't definitely bring your own snacks and sneak them in.
But almost everybody else in the theater is buying popcorn and pop, and then you're spending like another ridiculous sum of money.
It's at least
that.
$10 for like the stuff. Yeah, both of those things cost like less than $1, and yeah, it's $10 at the theater. But again, it's the social experience, and like that's what we're trained to do.
Screw that.
Right?
Invite your friends over, rent a movie, make your own super delicious, yummy popcorn, and we have a soda stream, so we can like make soda too.
Wow, we're so fancy.
So whatever, we can have literally everything we want without having to leave our house.
Ferment your own ginger beer. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, so do a movie night in. That right there can save you $50 as well. Number 4, I think this is an interesting one because one of our big indulgences is going out to dinner. We love to go out to dinner. We love to try new restaurants. So instead of telling people to not do a dinner out, because sometimes we just all need it, right? We all need to just like have a night where we don't cook and we can go out to eat. Well, when you go out to dinner, don't get any drinks. And one of mine and Brett's oldest secrets, probably from our very first date, order an entree and an appetizer for 2 people.
Oh yeah, just share it, and most of the time you still end up leaving full.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Like, and if you really need to splurge, then like also get a dessert on the back end for specifically Angela. So.
Yeah, but like don't get drinks. Don't each get an entree.
When we say drinks, right? Like alcohol is one thing, right? Because those are super expensive.
For sure.
90% of the time.
They're insanely
like,
expensive.
Having a social event, again, having a cocktail at dinner, like you look back and you're like, this bill was a lot more expensive than it could have been, right? Just because you had those drinks. So again, reassess at the end of the night, like how value add was that? And like over time, like we were doing it for a really long time, like thinking like, this is nice, you know, we're just going to have like a nice evening, and that's part of the nice evening culture. Now we're like, I'd be happier with the dollars.
Or like, yeah, like, I mean, we were going out and I'd be like, oh, I just want a glass of wine. And I like wasn't paying attention. And then we'd get the bill and like my glass of wine was like $10 or something ridiculous. And I'm like, I could have bought this entire bottle for $10 at the grocery store. And so like, yeah, don't get alcoholic drinks, you know, because like, let's say you each have 2 drinks, which isn't a ridiculous amount by any stretch of the imagination. You could easily be out $40 right there.
Right.
Which is insane.
But pop is another thing, right? Or soda or wherever you are in the country, right?
Soda is another thing. Like you go out to a restaurant and it's like $2.95-ish minimum probably for a soda. It's like, now,
right. And if
I know
you have
one
a family
person,
of 4 or something like that, or a group that are going out, I mean, that's like you a whole nother entree.
Right. Yeah. And I know one person that a lot of times when he goes out to eat, he actually only gets a pop because he doesn't want anything to eat. And he will literally sit there and drink like 3 pitchers of Diet Coke. And like for him, it is worth it. Like he is getting his money's worth. But if that's not you, and that's actually not really that healthy, to be perfectly honest with you, then it's not worth it, right? Like if you really want pop, go and get like a 12-pack at the store. I can't even pretend to know what a 12-pack costs anymore.
Or a 2-liter. I mean, the most economical way to buy it is the 2-liter.
Yeah. I still don't know how much any of that costs, but I promise you it is cheaper than getting it at a restaurant. So yeah, just don't do that. Don't get drinks, just get water. And if you're in Europe, I understand, like, you're in a very awesome environment where you can probably get a glass of wine for the same price as water, and like more power to you. When I'm in Europe, I probably get a glass of wine with almost every meal.
And beer. Most places we go, beer is cheaper than the water.
Yeah.
But that's just not the situation we have in America. So water is like free here. So That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And everything else is 3 times the price of what it is to get it in Europe for
Yep.
pop and beer and wine. And
So here, screw it, don't get drinks, and you will actually notice a significant amount of savings, especially if you do like 2 to 3 dinners out a month, which I think a lot of people would fall into that category. You will definitely notice a difference at the end of the month on your budget, which is awesome. All right, number 5, use coupons or shop around. Now, this is kind of like two-pronged because if you are like buying stuff online, which we buy almost everything exclusively online at this point because one, it makes it so much easier to shop around. And like literally one store might have something for just like half the price of another store.
Right.
And you can just find that immediately on Google. Like Google Shopping is the best.
Or your alternative is to drive around town all day and like figure out which one has the best deal mixed up with the different coupons that you were sent in the mail. That's just for us, personally not our favorite shopping experience.
No, we get really cranky actually. And the other cool thing about doing it online is you can like Google coupon codes and like literally sometimes just by being like, whatever store coupon code, we'll just say like Bed Bath & Beyond coupon code because I know they have a lot of coupons. You can just get like a 20% off your entire order coupon code.
Yeah, and I know I've been using a new browser extension that has popped up in the last year or so called Honey, and that goes through basically and it like inventories a lot of the coupon codes for you. And when you go to the checkout, it'll like go and try and apply as many as you can.
I'm sorry, I started chuckling a little bit because every YouTuber is like shilling Honey right now. This is not sponsored. We don't have sponsors. So that's just a genuine recommendation from Brett.
Right. I have personally used it. I have gotten money back from it from places where I've intentionally searched for coupon codes on like Retail Me Not and like other services. Those are always like 1 in 10 I ever find a coupon that actually saves me any kind of money, and I've actually saved like some money so far with Honey automatically.
Awesome.
So
yeah,
it has actually worked.
So yeah, use that. Totally worth it. All right, number 6. Now this is kind of one that sounds really funny, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Don't look for a good deal. Now what I mean by that is we all know those people that are like, oh, have you like seen this random product? I just had to buy it because it was such a good deal. And I'm like, but did you need it? Because it's not a good deal if you just spent like $40 on something that you wouldn't have bought originally.
Yeah, and we've known people that personally have bought a lot of stuff, and we look at that and we're like, you're not going to use this after like the first 5 minutes you touch this thing, right? And that's always how it turns out. It's like, oh man, it was a steal, right? It was like half off or less than half off or a quarter off, or it was a quarter of the price. And we're just like, well, a quarter of the price of 0 is still 0. So that's what I would have spent on this thing had it been full price or any price, right? Because it's still like not that great of a thing.
Yeah, just like, it's just like that brainwashing to get you to buy something because you're like, gotta get it now. It's such a good deal. Like, what's the one saying that I always hear? I'd probably heard it as a kid. If it's a good deal today, it'll still be a good deal tomorrow, right? So it's like, if you're ever under the gun to buy something and it's like, this is gonna go away today, it's like, well, then you probably don't need it that bad. And, just wait.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, for things that aren't like digital online shopping or whatever, right? If somebody's willing to offer you like some kind of a promotion or a deal or something, that doesn't just go away on a certain day for the sake of it. If you say like, if you come in the next day and you're like, yeah, I'm still interested in this, will you honor this? They'll usually always say yes because they want to make the sale. Right? That happens with appliances. That happens with cars. That happens with cars is a whole nother negotiating standpoint. Don't even trust anything that they're trying to pitch at you. You should be negotiating that like on your own, no matter what. But or don't buy one.
Yeah,
buy used.
And cars. That gets us into number 7. Drive less. So if you drive less, then you don't have to replace your car as often.
Right, and if you've been listening to us at all for the last year, we've been big advocates of not driving as much. We've reduced down to 1 car, right? We've moved into an area now where Angela doesn't even have to drive to work anymore, and I travel for work, so we're almost never driving our car anymore.
Well, I was biking to work a lot of the time, which I bring up because we did not live in a bike-friendly area. It's not like I was biking in Portland, Oregon, where it's the norm and it was super safe.
Or Amsterdam.
Or Amsterdam or Denmark or anywhere in Europe that's just better than here. But I was biking in Midwest actually in Michigan, which if you know the history of anything, you know we are like the car capital of America and love cars. We make cars, right? Everything was designed for cars. And I was still biking there. I was still, it's amazing. Even where we live now, we live in Orlando. And somebody told me when we were moving here, like, oh, you can't live here without driving everywhere. And it's comical because we drive almost nowhere on our regular schedule. Like we drive maybe if we're going to check out some other part of town or like, venture over to Disney or whatever. But if you just like go on side streets here, you could bike anywhere, right? Because it's just like there's these main roads that you want to avoid at all costs. Even if you're in a car, you want to avoid them at all costs. And other than that, like you could bike down these streets because nobody else is using them.
There's like no traffic, yeah.
So, if you just like look for creative ways to get places, you'd be surprised how many places you can bike if you want to. And I know it's not an option for everybody. I know some people live in a more rural setting, but just try to combine trips, right? Like if you already drive to work and there's a grocery store, half a mile from your office, just stop there on your way home instead of like going out the next day to the grocery store.
The other thing is public transportation in your area too, right? Not every area has public transportation, especially in America. We're really bad at it. But in larger cities, it's fantastic, like Chicago. You take it everywhere there. You shouldn't be driving anywhere there because it's so good. But even here in Orlando, we have like reasonable public transportation, but like really almost no citizens use it because they like just want to drive everywhere because that's the culture here. But we took it to dinner the other night and it was great. It was fast, and coming from a place in Chicago where you're used to taking public transportation, we didn't stop every 5 seconds like you do in Chicago. Literally every single block, sometimes multiple times a block.
So the other actually thing I want to note about that is a lot of my coworkers here don't take the public transportation, not because they don't want to, but because Google Maps will tell you, like, if you drive there, it'll take you 10 minutes. But if you take public transportation, it'll take you 40 minutes. That's literally what it told us the other night for going to dinner. It did not take us anywhere near 40 minutes to get there.
And it would have taken longer to drive there. Both calculations are wrong in that
Correct.
case.
And so honestly, it probably would have taken us maybe 15, 16 minutes to drive there. And we did have to walk to the bus stop, but we were going to go on a walk anyways. So like that was whatever. And
we walked like 4 minutes. It was like basically
yeah.
out the door.
So Google said it was going to take us 12 minutes to walk, but it only took us 4, maybe 5. And then it said it was going to take 20 minutes on the bus, and it took
less than 10,
8.
I think.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to try public transportation. Honestly, that's something Brett and I, no matter where we travel, we have taken public transportation probably everywhere we've been. We've taken it in Louisiana, Florida now, Michigan, California, right, all over the place.
Paris, Germany.
Well, Europe, you're great. We suck here. It's very different, but it's not intimidating. It's very easy, and just it's fun to use it. I don't know. I always say like I want to try it because I want to donate to all these different like transit systems because honestly, bus ridership is down, and it's really sad because then there's a lot of other cities like Cleveland doing more with like dedicated bus lanes and stuff like that. And it's a very effective way to get where you're going if it's an option, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay. So we covered driving less. The next one that we could talk a lot about, but let's try to keep it abbreviated because it's one of your favorites, but find a way to get your groceries less expensively.
Okay.
So, you had a really good example, Brett, about buying organic food at the grocery store. So
right, I talked to somebody about this the other day. They said, I can't buy organic food or I can't buy healthy food because it's too expensive. And I said, we, for the last like 3 years now, have been like exclusively getting our food from almost a farmer's market or some similar, venue. And sure, if you go to like a major grocery chain and look for anything that says organic on it, that stuff costs a fortune. But don't buy that. Get it at a farmer's market where you know where the source is coming from in the local area. Like look at who the farmers are and ask them where they're getting their stuff from. Make sure it's a good deal and it's good healthy food. But that's the best way to do it. Their food's not more expensive than anything else. Or it's like slightly more expensive than it would be to buy like the crap in the grocery store, like the bottom tier. But there's no problem with that.
Yeah, so there's a couple different options. You can go to markets and talk to the farmers, right? Get to know them, buy their products, And there's going to be different vendors at your market, right? Like sometimes you go to a farmer's market and there's that like one vegetable vendor that you're like, holy shit, you're really expensive and I'm never going to buy anything from you. And then literally whether it's in Michigan or I've been to farmers markets like on the East Coast, West Coast, now in Florida, there always seems to be that one guy that has like 3 for $10, where you get like 3 baskets of food for $10 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So for spending $20, you literally get enough produce to last you like the whole week.
Yeah.
So that's the model we've always kind of taken. And especially meat, right? Like buying organic chicken in the grocery store is going to run you like $10 a pound. Where if you just go to your farmer's market, you're probably going to be able to get that for like $4 a pound.
Right. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we basically will avoid the people that are certified organic, quote unquote, right? Air quotes. Because they're just paying more for that certification. And they're just paying more to be able to market their food in that way. And I'd rather just like know where that chicken or that beef is coming from to say like, I'm okay. I understand how they're raising their food and I trust that is okay.
Well,
good for me to eat.
The other big thing to do is you can talk to the farmers about how much they spray, because just because they're certified organic, there are organic pesticides, right? Uh-huh. And so we always try to find somebody who they just don't spray unless they need to and all that good stuff. But go talk to your farmers. And the other thing I wanted to mention is whether it was Michigan where we lived or now that we live in Orlando, we've Googled like a lot of different grocery stores to get our food. And in both cities, we found a place that literally just sells like vegetables and fruit and meat. And that's all they sell. And we had one up there and we have one down here. And that is like the cheapest place for us to get our vegetables. And that's where we buy Stormy's food. So.
Right. And we trust most everything that they have at the store. So.
Right. But I'm saying like just, don't be afraid to go to different types of grocery stores instead of like always going to your Kroger or Publix. Those are typically what I found to be the most expensive.
Right. With the lowest quality product.
Yep.
Overall.
So, yeah, just shop around. All right, number 9, one of my favorites, and Brett's probably new, recent favorite, go to your local library. Brett just got his first library card in a lot of years.
Yeah, since I was like 10 probably. Yeah, something like that. And it's actually been really great. I stopped reading a long time ago for fun and picked it up again, and... Yeah, you tricked me into reading a book this last year, and now I'm like addicted to it again.
Yeah,
so,
and
it's a good problem to have.
And so you opened a library card about a week ago, and I would say that you've already saved $30 because you've checked out 3 things that were valued at $10 a piece.
Okay.
So like boom, $30 right there. So if you read a lot or you read anything, like go to your library to get the books. I've been a part of several book clubs in the past. I always get my books at the book club, so that saves me a lot of money annually. And some people are like, oh, well, I want to own the book. But sometimes you don't know that until you read it. Like, occasionally you read a book and you're like, yes, this is something I want to reference, so I want to purchase a copy. But, like, most books that you read, do you really need to own? And,
I mean, there's a lot of other things that it offers as well, right? I know at ours we have, like, a game programming virtual reality thing that's free that you can just go use at any time, or there's classes. They have, there's a bunch of like knitting and quilting stuff that are there. Spin ups, all kinds of classes on different floors. Art gallery stuff, like they have exhibits in there as well. They have some like play that they put on also. Again, you mentioned about like the DVD rentals and audio rentals. You can do that. Like you can rent any DVD for a week. Even I think a lot of the stuff in there is like new releases too, or close to.
Yep.
So who's you don't even need Netflix anymore for that.
We haven't had Netflix in months, so.
Right, we're also not running the DVDs either. So we don't have a DVD player or a computer that takes DVDs anymore. But right, all that stuff's available, and you can get ebooks on there also. Right, you don't even have to get the physical books.
Right.
For a lot of libraries.
Well, yeah, you can use Hoopla, which we've talked about in the past, to get. We've watched several movies through Hoopla now, as well as I've checked out books from it, and that's like. If you have a library card, most libraries partner with it, and you can just connect right to Hoopla and check out whatever you want to online.
And so, I mean, for years, I just forgot that the library was even out there. It was just like, oh, that's just for kids or whatever, to go when they're like learning in elementary school and stuff. Because that's basically the last time I was at the library. But it's great. And when I thought about it the other day, I was like, what is like the least evil business that's like in town here, right? And it's probably, I would say, the library.
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever thinks like the library is like out to get you or like going to swindle you in any way. But yeah, it'd be really sad if people like stopped using it because they're like actually doing such a good service.
And did you know that there are like people against the library that are like trying to get libraries shut down across the country? Like, who are these people? They just hate like the best thing. Like, it makes me so angry. But yeah, there's like a coalition against the library. And I'm like, because they don't want to pay for the taxes that support it. But, and I get it, it's not like it's just a free service, right? Our tax dollars do go to fund the library, but like, what a cool thing to fund. You can just go get unlimited books and movies and plays and VR and all sorts of amazing stuff. And ours actually has like free adult language classes too. So we could go take like a free Spanish class. And that's amazing, right?
Sure.
So I don't know. I guess when I think about like where my tax dollars are going, I'm not mad that the library is getting it.
Yeah, there's a lot of other areas in the government that I can like cherry pick that they're not spending money effectively. So I'll save the library for last.
Yeah. And you can print stuff there. That was the other thing I wanted to mention really quick because
we haven't had a printer in like 10 years.
Yeah, we haven't had a printer in a long time, and there was some stuff we needed to print, and it was pretty inexpensive. Like I printed off all the forms I needed to for like less than $1. So
like 10 cents, 25 cents, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one that I wanted to mention is utility bills and your cell phone bill. So we've talked about this before, so I won't talk about it a lot, but with utilities, just like if you're not using it, shut it off, right? I run around like a crazy person turning off all of our appliances, but it has made a super significant difference. So Brett lets me do it.
That vampire energy.
Yeah, or if you plug everything to a power strip, that makes it really easy. Some tips I've learned from a year of being a crazy person. And again, we've all talked about this a lot too, but with your furnace, like just turn it down a few degrees in the winter so it's a little bit colder in your house, turn it up a little bit in the summer. And the thing that I want to mention here, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I just like can't stand the heat. And Brett can be my witness. I used to be awful in the heat. I would faint actually if I was in the heat for too long.
She couldn't walk down the street like 5 blocks in Chicago because it was like 85 degrees out. Like I was like, I don't even know what's wrong with you.
Yeah. So in the past few years in the summer, we've like not run our air a whole lot. And this past summer, I was also biking to work throughout, I would just be like a sweaty mess when I showed up and I'd have to like shower off or whatever. But in doing that, I became very heat adapted. So it sounds crazy, but no matter where you live, whether it's like cold or hot or whatever, if you just like spend more time in that like natural environment, your body will adapt. Like the human body is really incredible on what it can do, and you'll like find a way to be comfortable. So it sounds crazy, but like, and I'm not saying don't use any air conditioning, but like you don't have to set it to like 65 degrees and make everyone freeze when they come over. Like throw it on like 80 and just see what happens, because you'll be fine. I was.
Right. I mean, this guy from Michigan, like I'm walking around in shorts and flip-flops out here and it's like 65 degrees or 60 degrees and everybody has their like literally winter coats on. Like they have like full on parkas. Yeah. The dogs are wrapped up in like, blankets and sweaters. And I'm like, what?
Oh, and I had coworkers talking about running their furnaces here. And I'm like, why do you guys even have furnaces? Like, what are you talking about? We have not even thought about turning our furnace on.
I don't think we actually have one. So I think we just have air conditioning.
But yeah, so, just let it be. Let yourself be a little bit uncomfortable here and there, but you'll adapt.
Yeah, especially in the winter, it's a lot easier to put a couple extra layers on if it'll save you, quite a bit of money. But.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to talk about is the phone bill, because I talked to somebody recently, and I was like, talking to them about budgets, and I was like, oh yeah, my phone bill is like $40 a month on a bad month, right? Like it'll be like $25 this month. And they were like, no way. Like, oh, are you still on your parents' plan? And I'm like, no. I am an independent woman on my very own Google Fi plan, thank you very much. Their phone bill for just them was $160 a month.
Oh, wow.
Now, part of that was because they were like paying their phone, right? For like $50 a month, they get the new iPhone or whatever.
Okay.
But regardless, that's insane, and you shouldn't do it. And no phone. My entire phone was $150.
Right, and you have like a really good phone, right? I mean, it's not the iPhone camera, or it's not the Pixel 3 camera, right? But it has a really good camera in it.
Right.
Right. Good phones, my favorite tech reviewer says, good phones are getting cheap and cheap phones are getting good. Right?
Yeah.
For 3 years he's been saying that. So it's not like things have really caught up in like the phone market, and you can get a really high quality phone for like less than $200.
Yeah.
Easily.
So I got the Moto G6, which I actually think the Motorola's are now the number one selling phone internationally. Don't quote me on that, I guess.
Huawei's like really killing it also. The Pocofone's doing okay too.
But regardless, not everybody spends $1,000 on a phone. And actually that's really insane that anybody would think like a phone that's going to last me 2 years is worth $1,000. Like $500 a year for a phone? I mean, if that's your thing, like whatever. But like mine was $150. So like for your, $50 payment for, 2 years, I could have like 8 phones, right? Like some ridiculous amount. So my whole point being like, just, if you're getting to the end of your contract with Verizon and you're like, hey, I'm ready for like a cheaper alternative, try Google Fi, jump on over to Android. Like I know there's this huge like iPhone Android thing. I don't even care about any of that, but like I just care about the price. And iPhones are just getting really expensive. So if you want to stay on iPhone, definitely just buy like an older version, right? Like don't get the 10, go for like the 8 or whatever, and like get a cheaper one. Right, but if you're willing to switch, you can save a crap ton of money.
And I mean, that being said, people with iPhones can still use Google Fi anyway, though, right? You just don't have to have the latest one.
Correct. You can use Google Fi now, and that could also save you money, even if you want to like not change up your phone. Right. But if you do still owe money on your phone, you're gonna be tied to whatever carrier you have, whether it's Sprint or Verizon.
Or if you try and get out of it, they're gonna demand that all the money be paid up for that phone at that time, and still maybe that's a better deal.
Right.
If you're still paying like $70 a month for your phone plan, regardless of your that extra phone fee, it still may be better to like cut your phone bill in half if you have the ability to pay that phone off right away.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was 10 ways to save at least $50. So I'm just going to run through them all real quick. I'll do a lightning round, and then we will end this episode. So number 1, pack your lunch. Number 2, pay off your credit card. Number 3, do a movie night in. Number 4, when you go to dinner, don't order drinks. Number 5, use coupons or shop around. Number 6, don't just look for that next good deal. Only buy things when you decide you want them. Number 7, drive less. Number 8, buy groceries at a less expensive price by shopping around. Number 9, use your local library. And number 10, get your utility and cell phone bills cheaper. So, congrats if you follow all of these. We just saved you $500 a month.
That's right.
Which is pretty sweet. And you can invest it and not worry about that money stock market going down because it doesn't matter, right?
Right. It's going to go up and down. That's just the way it is. It'll do it forever. So.
All right. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Money in the Bank. Make sure to subscribe to us on the iTunes or Stitcher app so that you get weekly alerts every time we post a podcast. Or if you want, you can visit my website, moneyinthebankpodcast.com. And if you want to reach out with any questions or further comments, please email me at Angie@moneyinthebankpodcast.com. I look forward to hearing from you.
Money in the bank.